Welcome to Tabletop Gaming with Juce. This is RPG a Day, and we are on question number 9. Today's question is, how has a game surprised you? Make sure you head on over to rpgjuice.com, where you can get caught up on the latest videos, the latest news, and blog posts from Juice himself. If we're talking about a system, I can't say a system has ever surprised me. However, in playing D&D over the years, especially 5th edition, I think there are some things in general that have surprised me. When I first got into the hobby compared to my thoughts on it now, I am surprised sometimes by how different people play the game or run the game. And I would say, almost every DM runs things differently, first of all. And it seems like when I started playing, I didn't feel like I had as much control as a player. Maybe it was because I was younger. Maybe we were limited because we were new players and the DM was experienced. I don't know. It's hard for me to remember because it was 21 years ago, which is forever ago to me. But there was that. I remember playing with my wife's brother, and I didn't feel limited in that one. However, the physics of the world seemed a bit overly harsh compared to what I expected. Plus, I like to play games a little more loose rather than strict. And so, for example, jumping off a horse in my chainmail got my character hurt. I didn't think it should have, but it did. And that's okay. After that, I kind of understood how he ran games, a little bit more cautious. And so I had to play a little more cautious. I couldn't play my free reign going crazy. But then playing one shots back when the early days of the one shot group, and playing the continuous from the astral and the provokers, and I really learned a lot by playing with these different DMs who have different play styles, and some of it was surprising. I remember the first time I played in a game where, as a player, you set your own scene for your character. You introduced your character in a way that made a real impact. And that was mostly in the From the Astral campaign. And that was players could come in and miss a couple sessions. It was completely fine. It was episodic. And I loved it. I absolutely loved the idea of the character intro where players had complete narrative control. That was awesome. And again, it surprised me because I didn't even think of playing the game that way. Provokers was kind of the same thing where at times, we were given narrative control. And for example, Barker did some really cool stuff in that first season that surprised me. How he described his spells and the catchphrases like freeze the meat. It was so cool, like telling the story that we did. And again, I was surprised at the type of game that I could enjoy. Before those types of games, I thought I was one type of player. And in other campaigns, I thought I was a certain type of player. For instance, when I played the game with my brother-in-law, my wife's brother, I thought I was a rules lawyer because I didn't agree with some of his rulings. And so I would sometimes point out the rules. And obviously I just pointed out once and just go with it. But I felt like I was a rules lawyer then. I used to think I was a power gamer. When coming up with characters for Heroes Unlimited, I tried to make the most powerful characters. And mostly because I just liked doing the builds. I thought that was fun. I still like building optimal characters. Doesn't mean I always play the optimal character or that I always do the optimal choice, but I enjoy finding out what the optimal builds are. But I don't think I'm a power gamer. Again, when I played in From the Astral, and played in Provokers, and played in, what was it? The couple games with Dave from Nerdarchy, or Dawn Forged Cast, or whatever. I learned something a little bit as I kept going. Each game told me something new about myself and how I played. I haven't had a major epiphany in the last probably year to a year and a half of my play style. But in those years, up through, say, 2015 or 16, I had a lot of surprises. I thought I was one way, and then I played in a game and realized, nope, this is what I like. This is what type of player I think I am. This is my play style. And it kept changing. Now, I think I like to be a narrative player. I'm just not always the best at narrating stuff from a player's standpoint. And I think it comes down to if I'm comfortable with the group and if I know what the expectations are for the group from other players and the DM. So if I've been playing with the group for a while, I kind of know, where my boundaries are when it comes to the narration. When I played with DMG a couple months ago in his 70 system, I did not expect the game to be ran the way it was. It was very quick, 10 seconds per turn throughout the whole session. And that surprised me. I liked it for some aspects. I didn't like it for others. It was a style I could see myself incorporating into games I DM in the future. Now, that game would not have been a game where I would have a lot of narrative control. And maybe I do, but it's a shortened amount of time, so I am not going to be able to paint the picture as well as I could in, say, a game run by Matt Click, where he will let the players talk for a while. Neither one's right. They're all great. But again, there's these little things that surprise me. So every time I play with a new group or a new person, I would say there's almost always a little surprise. So that's how I'm going to answer this question. That was question number 9. How has a game surprised you? And again, I think it's just each game with new people is full of surprises. And that's okay. That's one of the things that's awesome about this hobby. And that is why I tell people, if you're going to play an RPG for the first time, play it. If you didn't like it, try it with a different group. Why, like ask yourself, what didn't you like about that game? Was it that you felt like rushed? Was it that you didn't like how boring it was because all you were doing is waiting for your turn in combat? Ask yourself why you didn't like it, and then try to play another game with a different set of people that isn't going to have as much of the things you didn't like from the one. And maybe try to see if it'll have the stuff that you did like from that experience. So yeah, I always try to tell new players, don't judge the hobby by one experience. Give it 2 or 3 times with different people or groups. And sometimes the same group. If you're jumping into a campaign and they're at a story arc that's going to be a big boss fight and it's going to be combat the whole session, that doesn't mean all their sessions are going to be combat. It just means that one was. So again, it's all about communication. So I would say give it 2 or 3 times before you make a decision. And don't be surprised that you will be surprised with almost every new experience with new people. So yeah, that was question number 9. The next video for RPG a Day is question 10, how has gaming changed you? And so that'll probably be a little bit more of an elaboration on some of this. So that's it. This was RPG a Day 2018. I will see you guys next time. Thank you.